In this video, I'm going to share everything that you need to know about comprehension écrite for TEF Canada exam. I'm going to talk about the exam in general, like how the exam is conducted, how many points do you need to get B2 plus, what should be your strategy during the exam. And then I'll walk you through one mock test and I'll share my strategy for each and every section. We will also solve some questions together, including long text and fill in the blanks, which are the most difficult part of the exam, right? So please get ready with a pen and a paper because you have to take a lot of notes. Alright, let's go to my laptop. In comprehension écrite, there are 50 questions, all are MCQs, and you get 60 minutes to complete the test. In terms of score, to get NCLC 7, which is B2 plus, you need at least 207 to 232 points out of 300, which means you need to get at least 36 questions correct out of 50. There are 4 sections in the exam, so let's look at it one by one. In section A, you will get some images along with some options and you have to select the right answer. So image 1 and 2 will have 1 question each. Image 3rd will have 2 questions and 4th and 5th image will have 3 questions each. As you can see on the right hand side, there would be an image and then on the right hand side you can see there would be a question along with 4 options to select from. In terms of difficulty level, this is the easiest section of all. In section B as well, we have one image along with some options to select the right answer. There would be one image and there would be 3 questions to answer. After that, you will have some short text and long texts. You have to read the text and you have to select the right answer. So for each short text, there would be 3 questions and for each long text, there would be 4 questions. In terms of difficulty level, short texts are moderate, but long texts are very difficult. Then in section C, first question will have a short or a long text and some of the phrases would be missing in between and those would be provided in the options down below after the paragraph. As you can see on the right hand side, here is this text and some of the phrases are missing in between and there would be some options and you have to read through all 4 options and select the answer for each of these missing phrases. In terms of difficulty level, this is moderate to high and you will have about 5 questions to answer in this particular text. Now the next set of question is ordering the statements to form a meaningful short paragraph. As you can see here, there would be 4 options with 4 phrases and some order would be provided in options. So you have to rearrange all of these 4 options to form a meaningful sentence. So after reading these phrases, you have to decide whether their order should be 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, etc. In terms of difficulty level, I feel this is moderate. Then in section D, you will have 5 one-line short phrases like this one here. And then in the options, you will have 4 options and you will have to select the one which has the closest meaning to the main one-line statement that we have. In terms of difficulty, this is very easy, but out of the 5 questions, sometimes we get a couple of questions which are relatively difficult, but overall this section is relatively easier. So in total in section A you will have 10 questions, in section B there would be 25 questions, in section C there would be 10 questions, and in section D there would be 5 questions. Now there are some things that you should know before the exam. So first one is level of difficulty increases by section, as we have already seen. So that is something that you should keep in mind. Next one, there is no negative marking. So please ensure that you answer all the questions. If you select the wrong answer, you are not going to lose any points. But if you select the right answer, you are going to get some points for that. So please make sure that you don't leave any questions unanswered. You don't have to answer the questions in sequence. You can go back and forth. So for instance, if you have answered first 15-20 questions and now you are on long text and you are finding it very difficult, you don't have to spend too much time on it. Rather, I would suggest that you move forward and answer other questions. And then once you are done with the rest of the questions, then you come back to that particular text that you didn't attempt earlier. So I would highly recommend not to spend too much time on the text that you are finding very difficult to
understand, rather move forward and answer other questions in section C and in section D, but come back to difficult text or difficult questions in the end. There is no extra time provided to review your answers at the end of the test. So just make sure that within those 60 minutes only, you have couple of minutes to just quickly go through all the answers to make sure that you have selected the right answer, and also to make sure that you have not left any question unanswered. But that you have to do within that 60 minutes time frame only. So please save couple of minutes to review. You don't really need pen and a paper. So I would say when you are not answering a few questions and you are moving forward, just take a note of those question numbers so that it would be easier for you to come back to those questions. But otherwise, I feel there is no need to take any notes of any words or any phrases when you are reading short or long text, for example, because in reading section, time management is very important. You have only 60 minutes to answer 50 questions, and some of the long text takes a lot of time. So please don't waste any time in taking notes because that is something which is actually not required. Not sure if you know, but questions do repeat from previous exams, and that is not true just for the long and short texts, but in easier sections as well, like section A and section D, you may see some questions from the mock test that you might have done. So for this particular part, I'm gonna tell you a lot of resources, a lot of places wherein you can find many mock tests. But in addition, I'm gonna share some material that I have, which you can use to practice a little bit more for long text, for short text, and also for fill in the blank section in section C. So as I said, I suggest that you do as many mock tests as possible. Two best places to go is Prep My Future and TEF Academy. But apart from that, I'm gonna share one link in the description box down below, wherein you can find 6 mock tests for both reading and listening part. And apart from that, on the Facebook group, which you can see on the screen right here, there are people who share list of texts from recent tests. So there are short texts, long text, and also fill in the blanks. So I would say please join this group if you haven't done already. I'm gonna provide a link in the description box below. I'm not sure if that link works. If it doesn't, I've pasted an image also here. So when you search for TEF Canada group on Facebook, you can search with these keywords, right, which you can see right here on the screen, and that would help you to join this group. I would say this group is a gold mine, especially for the reading part, because people share a lot of material from recent exams, which you can use to do exam specific preparation. I had also downloaded few documents from this group, which I'm going to provide in the description box below. But those documents are not exhaustive, so you may want to go through the group and download more material. How should you use those documents that I'm going to share is something that I'll show you shortly. But I wanted to show you all the resources that you can use to do exam specific preparation. But apart from that, I also suggest that you read articles every day because that is going to be extremely helpful to improve your reading comprehension. At least you should give yourself 2 to 3 months before the exam when you do exam specific preparation, and in parallel you should also start reading articles as much as possible. As I said earlier, questions do repeat across all the sections. So for section A, I think if you do all the mock tests, you may actually come across 1 or 2 images which would be familiar. And for section B, you are going to find a lot of short and long text on TEF Academy. When you register on TEF Academy, you will get access to about 5 to 10 mock tests. But apart from that, you will also have access to about 100 long or short text. And if you do them diligently, then there is a high probability that you find couple of them in the exam also. Now in section C, for fill in the blanks, I don't know if that repeats, but you would find some of these examples as well on Facebook group. So please download some material. I'm also going to provide some. And then for rest of the section C and for section D, if you do all the mock tests, you might actually find some examples from those only in the exam. I've said this many times that questions do repeat, but keep this in mind that this is not always the case. When I took my exam the first time, I hardly found any long text or short text. I found couple of familiar questions in section A, section C, and section D,
but in section B, I don't remember if I found any familiar short or long text. If you follow Facebook group, you may have seen comments from many people after taking the exam, and they also claim that they have not seen any familiar text from the practice material that they have used, and they are not sure, but they have just tried to give it their best attempt. So although it is important to use all the practice material that we have, but in parallel, you should also do some general reading, like reading articles to improve your reading comprehension, because it is not 100% that you're going to find some familiar questions in the exam. Now, as I said, I'm going to share some material with you for long and short text. Like this is the PDF that I had downloaded from the Facebook group. There are about 51 texts. Now, if you go to this one, there would be a text followed by some questions, and in the end, there would be one answer sheet. Now, I'm going to walk you through one mock test, and there I'll explain how you should actually attempt these short and long text in the exam. But before that, I just want to say that when you use these material, just make sure that you don't memorize these answers by heart, because in the exam you might actually get this particular topic, but sometimes they do change the text a bit, or they do change the questions a bit. And I've seen many comments on Facebook group also, and people have claimed this fact that sometimes they do make some changes. So it's important that you use it as a practice material and don't try to memorize these things, because it is not going to help. Even if you try to memorize the answers, there is a high probability that you will forget it, because there are so many texts that you are going to read, about 100 texts, and it's completely impossible to remember everything by heart, right? Just to give you my example, when I started reading these texts, I remember I used to read only one text per day because it was too overwhelming for me, especially for these long texts. And I used to take a lot of time to read them multiple times, and then I used to answer the questions. If there is a short text like this one, I may attempt two per day, but if there is a long text, I would do just one per day, because the idea is also to improve your reading comprehension when you are doing these texts, rather than as I said, rather than memorizing the answers. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to show you in terms of preparation and all the things that you should have in mind before you go and take the exam. But now I'm going to walk you through one mock test, and I'm going to show you section by section that how you should go about it. So in section A, as we have already seen, there would be some images followed by some questions. So for instance, here you see fermeture annuelle pour congé du 4 ou 22 août, which means closed for holidays. Now, the question is, on peut trouver sous panneau sur la porte d'un taxi, d'un hôpital, d'un autobus, d'une boulangerie. Now, the question says that we can find this particular note on the door of a taxi, hospital, bus, or boulangerie. Now, in taxi, in hospitals, and in bus, we never see this note that we are closed for holidays. We only see it outside a shop or a restaurant. So the best possible option that we have here is d'une boulangerie, which is a bakery. So answer would be D. Now the next question is attention, virage dangereux, which means be careful, dangerous turns. So where do you find dangerous turns? On the road, right? So it could be on the road, on the street, on a highway. So let's look at the examples. On peut trouver sous panneau sur bouteille de vin, cigarette, compagne, médicament. So compagne is the right answer. Une route de compagne. So similarly, you will have couple of more images. Now, first two images had just one question each. Next image will have two questions, and next two images like this one and this one will have three questions each. So maybe let's go through one here. So this is a letter. Cher parent, je suis bien arrivé au Pony Club, les terrasses avec ma classe et ma maîtresse. Il faut très bon. Le centre est super. Nous commençons à monter demain. J'espère que je vais réussir. Ne vous inquiétez pas. Bisous. Okay, so the first question is, qui est l'auteur de cette carte postale? Who is the author? Who has sent this
note. Une petite fille, Monsieur et Madame Jablonski, une institutrice d'école, tous les enfants de la classe. Now let's look at some elements of this note. This letter is being addressed to Sheikh Pahon, which means somebody is writing to parents. So it could be a teacher, it could be a daughter or a son. Je suis bien arrivé au Pony Club avec ma classe et ma maîtresse. Avec ma classe et ma maîtresse. So by this line, it seems that somebody has arrived somewhere with his or her class and the teacher, which means that maybe a student who is a son or a daughter of these people have written this note. Il fait très bon, le centre est super. Basically, the person is liking the place that they have reached. It is very beautiful, the temperature is good, and overall, nous commençons à monter demain. We are going to climb tomorrow. Climb what? Commencer à monter demain. Monter is generally used for riding a horse or maybe going up the hill. That we'll find out later. J'espère que je vais réussir. I hope that I will win. So it seems like that there is somebody, a daughter or a son has written this note to parents saying that they have reached where they were supposed to reach with the class and with the teacher. The weather is really nice, it's all good, and they are going to start climbing tomorrow, and the person is hoping to win. That means that maybe there is some kind of competition. Ne vous inquiétez pas. Don't worry, and bisous. Now, bisous is never used in formal situations, so this is very clear that some kid has written it named Miton, I think. And now let's look at the examples again. So this first question is asking who has written this carte postale. I would say it's Petite Fille. Second question is le courrier indique que le séjour est fini, que la petite fille est triste, que tout se passe très bien, que le séjour commence mal. Now the girl has written that everything is going well, weather is good, she is happy. So the right answer should be que tout se passe très bien. Les enfants sont partis surtout pour découvrir la nature, apprendre à monter à cheval, travailler avec les maîtresses, se reposer avec les copains. Now we already saw that there is some kind of competition, and the girl has written that no, they are going to start climbing tomorrow, and she is hoping that she wins. So definitely there is going to be a competition. So they are not going to work, they are not going to take rest with their friends, and they're not going to just discover the nature, explore the nature. So answer should be B, apprendre à monter à cheval. Now similarly here you'll see one letter. You can pause the video and go through this and try and answer the questions below. Alright, so this is section A. Now in section B, as I said, you get one image again and then there are three questions. This is going to be slightly, I won't say this is tough, but this may have more information compared to the images that we saw before. That's why this might take a couple of more minutes compared to section A. Let me read the question quickly. Si vous aviez la possibilité de travailler à l'étranger, quels sont parmi les pays suivants les deux ou trois que vous choisiriez en priorité? So maybe this is a survey which asked people from different countries that if you had the possibility to work abroad, which among the following two or three countries would you choose on priority? So according to the result of the survey, 52% people have selected Canada, followed by 37 Spain, 33 Australia, and 27 US, and so on. So you have to look at this image properly and answer these questions. Let me go through them quickly. So graphique présente les pays où les Français travaillent le plus, trouvent du travail, aimeraient travailler, refuseraient de travailler. So it's very clear, we have already seen that these are the countries where people would like to work. So answer should be aimerait travailler. Next question, d'après ce graphique, les pays les moins cités par les Français sont. So we have basically three countries in each option. We have to add up their numbers and we have to select the one with the lowest number. So the countries which are less popular, least popular actually among all these countries. So le Brazil, le Japon, le Chine. So you have to actually add up their numbers to get the right answer. The third one is les pays les plus cités sont des pays asiatique, European, anglophone, francophone. Now, American countries, Canada and Zeta-Zuni, I think they have the highest share, so it's very clear that the countries which have been mostly selected by respondents are Anglophone countries, which is Canada and US. Now here comes the short text, and you'll find couple of short text with 3 questions each. Yeah, there are 2 short text, and then there would be long text with 4 questions each. So I know you have a lot of questions about how should we actually read them, what should be the strategy. So I'm going to share my strategy, and then we are going to read this particular short text together, and then we are going to break it down little by little and find answers for each of these questions. So in terms of my strategy, before I read the text, I would always read the questions and their options first. So by doing that, I would have some idea about what the text is going to be about. And when I start reading a few lines, I would keep referring to these questions one by one to find the right answer. So let's look at the heading first. A consommer avec modération, which means we are talking about some consumption of something with moderation. So let's look at the questions first. Cette nouvelle boisson est un produit sans alcool, une bière au goût de citron, une nouvelle bière classique, un produit gastronomique de luxe. So first question is that this new type of drink that we are talking about in this text is a product is a product without alcohol, or is it a beer which has the taste of lemon, a new classic beer, or a gastronomic luxury boisson. Next question is dans cette boisson le vert et la couleur. So basically the color of that boisson, that drink, is green, and that color is coming from the contenu, the content of the bottle, the drink actually. Is it the color of the drink itself? Do l'étiquette, which is the label, maybe label around the bottle. Is it the color of the bottle? Is it the color of the label around the bottle? Do la bouteille, is it the color of the bottle? Maybe the bottle is of green color. Or do l'emballage. L'emballage is packaging. All right. Now the next one is cette bière est aux priorités destinée. Now this particular drink or beer is intended for who? Who is the target audience? Au créateur du mode, which means fashion producers. Au personnel du ambassade, à un public jeune et à la mode, fashionable and young public, aux amateurs de bonne bière, or the lover of beer in general. Alright, so by reading these questions, now we have an idea that probably this text is going to talk about some kind of beer which is green in the color, and it is actually intended for a specific type of audience which we need to figure out in the text. So I read it very slowly because I discussed each and everything one by one. But when you get into the practice of reading on a daily basis, you would be able to go through the questions pretty quickly actually. Alright, so let's go to the text now. Après la bière blanche, la bière verte. So basically they are saying that after white beer, now there is green beer. A baisse du malt et drum naturel du citron vert. This has a natural aroma of lemon, which is probably green. Cette boisson a dégusté bien fraîche et brassée comme une bière classique sans toutefois en avoir le goût. So we are saying that this drink is generally consumed fresh and is brewed like a classic beer. Sometimes it doesn't even have any taste. So let's look at the first question and see if we have found the answer here. Quelle boisson est un produit sans alcool, une bière à goût de citron? Yes, we have seen this, that it has the taste of citron. Une nouvelle bière classique. This also we have seen here, that this is like a classic beer. A produit gastronomique de luxe. We have not seen this. It doesn't seem like it is a luxury drink. So we have two options actually. One is that it has the taste of citron, and it is a classic beer. So let's read it again to select the right answer among these two. A best do malt idrum natural do citro weg. All right, yeah, it seems like this is the answer, that this has the taste of natural citron weg. Cette boisson a dégoûté bien fraîche et brassée comme une bière classique. I think this thing is provided for confusion because they are saying that this is brewed, this is consumed like a classic beer, but they are not saying that this is a classic beer. They are saying this is a beer which has the taste of lemon, which is green in color, and it is consumed and brewed like a classic beer without even having taste sometimes. So they're comparing it with a classic beer, but it is not actually a classic beer. So answer should be citron, which is option B. Let's continue. Beer présenté dans une bouteille incolore à l'étiquette discrète est disponible dans un emballage cartonné multicolore. Il est vendu à un prix très raisonnable. All right, so look at the next question. All right, so in the next question, they're asking the color which is green is coming from what? So this is exactly what we read here. We are saying that we are presenté dans une bouteille incolore, which means it is presented in a bottle which has no color. So it is not the color of the bottle, which is option C, which is incorrect. Now, l'étiquette discrète. L'étiquette discrète is also not sure because it is discrete, so we don't know whether it has the color, it has a green color. Est disponible dans un emballage cartonné multicolore. It is presented in a carton type box which is multicolor. So their box is multicolor, their label is discrete, we don't know the color, and the bottle is colorless. So basically, answer B eliminated, C is also eliminated, and D is also eliminated. So answer should be A, which is the contenu. And also in this line, we saw in first line, a baisse du malt idrum naturel du citron vert. So maybe they are trying to say that the lemon is green and that's why the color of the content is itself is green. That's why the answer should be A, do contenu. Now, before we read rest of the part, let's quickly remind us of the last question. Cette bière est aux priorités destinées. Alright, in the last question, they're asking that it is intended for who? Who is the target audience? À qui va-t-elle plaire avec sa faible tenue en alcool et son petit goût acidulé? By just reading this line, it is clear that now we are going to talk about who this particular drink is going to please. So basically, who is the target audience for this? Certainement pas un vrai amoureux de la bière. Certainly not the real lover of the beer, which is aux amoureux de bonne bière, option D. So this is eliminated. Option D is eliminated. La cible marketing semble privilégier les amateurs de sorties nocturnes dans les endroits branchés, les boîtes ou les clubs privés. So, which means that the marketing seems to be for amateurs de sorties nocturnes, which means trendy places, people who like to go to trendy places, people who like to go out, people who like to go out for night parties in trendy and famous places. Les boîtes ou les clubs privés, to night parties or to private clubs. So maybe they are talking about young people who like to go out, party. Let's continue. D'ailleurs, un jeune créateur de mode très en vue a été choisi comme ambassadeur de cette nouveauté. Et il va lancer pour promouvoir le produit une collection de t-shirts en série limitée. A young fashionista is being selected as the ambassador of this product to promote or to launch this product. This kind of drink is definitely not for people who generally like the beer, who are real lover of beer. Instead, this is for people who like to go out, party, and the ambassador is also young. So they are not clearly saying that this is for young people. They are just describing their trait, like they like to go out, but then they are saying in addition the ambassador is also a young person, which means that probably they are talking about young people who are the target audience for this beer. So let's look at the examples. Au créateur du monde, Priyatek Dumod is the ambassador of this product to promote this product, but not the audience. Opek Sunel Duamba said, no, we didn't read anything of that sort. A public jeune et à la mode. I think this is the closest answer to young public and who are fashionable. So I think answer should be C. Yeah, so this is how I generally read these long texts and short texts. Maybe we can go through this also quickly. So let's look at the heading Lavanchuk Nachuk, which means they're talking about some adventure in the nature. In questions, we have three questions. Lu text s'adresse. So this text is for people. Chasseur, écologiste, amuhu, dulanachu, peshek professionnel. Since we are talking about some adventure in nature, so it could be for amuhu, dulanachu. We haven't read it, but you can also guess like what could be the right answer. By just reading the heading, I'm saying that this could be answers option C. Pour apprécier les activités proposées, il faut aimer. In order to like or appreciate this particular activity, the person should like to eat, to walk, the comfort, or to faire la grasse matinée. Now, if you have to go for walk activity in the nature, then probably the person should like to walk, which is marcher. We'll see later. L'aventure nature accueillie, seulement les enfants, uniquement les familles, généralement tout le monde, en priorité les professionnels. Now, this adventure is for only for kids, for the whole family, generally for everybody, or only for professionals. Just pause it for some time and read it, and then we'll quickly discuss the answers. Done. All right, let's look at the questions. Lutex Sadres. According to me, the answer should be Ozamuhu Dulanachuk. La randonnée avec guide s'adresse à tous ceux qui aiment et désirent effectuer une rencontre véritable avec la nature. Yeah, so the answer lies in this line itself, that this particular walking activity is addressed to all the people who actually like and desire to actually conduct a real meet with the nature, if I translate it word by word. But it means that people who are really fond of the nature and who would really want to experience the nature out there. So it is for those people. So the answer should be Oz Amuru Dula Nachu. Second question, pour apprécier les activités proposées, il faut aimer. Well, they're talking about the walking activity. So the right answer should be B, that person should like to walk. And here also you can see that you are going to walk on Shuma many routes for discovering the country. So you are going to actually walk a lot. Lavanchuk, Nachuk, Ake. So this is for who? En couple, aux familles, entre amis, ou individuellement. So basically here you can see that for couples, for family, between friends, individually, anybody can actually participate in this particular activity. So answer should be généralement tout le monde. I'm also going to provide the answer sheet after we go through the mock test. Alright, so now you have long text. I'm not going to read it, but the strategy remains exactly the same for me. I would read through all the questions and then I would start reading these texts. Now for long text, I'm going to go slow. I would probably just read first two questions along with their options, and then I would read say 4 or 5 lines, and then I would come back to question one. And there is a high probability that I would find answer for first question in first 2 3 lines or in the first paragraph itself. And that's how you would be actually able to follow the text and the questions in sequence. One suggestion that I can give is when you read a text, try to understand its overall meaning rather than just relying on few words, because we have seen earlier sometimes they would not make it very obvious in the text itself, like the beer example that we saw earlier, right? For this question, they had added both the things, that like a classic beer in the lemon green taste. So you might get confused. So that's why it is important to understand the meaning of the whole line rather than just relying on few keywords. So just read couple of questions first, try and understand them, then read first paragraph. By then you would have some idea about what the text is all about, and then go slowly paragraph by paragraph. And once you complete one paragraph, keep moving, keep looking at questions also to see if you can find answers for those questions. And I would never suggest that you read the entire article and then start reading it again. I would always say that go in sync between both text and questions rather than reading the entire text and trying to understand the meaning of the entire text, because that way you're going to waste a lot of time. Similarly, you'll find couple of more, I think three more long text with 4 questions each. I'm going to provide this mock test in the description box below, so don't worry, you are going to get it and you can do it at your own speed. Yeah, so that's the end of section B. Now we are on section C. In section C, we have a text with some sentences missing in between, and we have to fill these with the help of 4 options provided below for each missing sentence. So in terms of my strategy, I would first read the entire text and I would read it line by line. I would not try to understand the meaning of each and every word because that is not possible, but I would try to understand it as a story. My second strategy is I would pay more attention to the statement which is right before and after the fill in the blank. My third strategy would be to pay attention to any nouns or pronouns. So for instance, here after this fill in the blank 38, I can see l'endroit, which means that we should talk about this place somewhere in this particular fill in the blank or maybe before that. So I would pay more attention to find out what is this place that we are talking about here. Similarly, here we are saying il a du coin. So since we are using a pronoun here, we definitely should have a noun somewhere here in this fill in the blank or maybe in this sentence before this fill in the blank. So I would pay more attention to these elements. And then the next thing is I would also pay attention to any connectors. For example, pourtant, d'ailleurs. I don't see any here in this particular text, but that would also help me to identify the right answer. Yeah, so these are some of the strategies that I keep in mind, but broadly I would say it's important to read this text as a story because that is something which can help you to get closer to the right answer. Now I would suggest you to pause this video and try to read it as a story, and then we will solve it together. We'll read it line by line and we will solve this together. Done? Let's get started. Sur les derrière kilomètres de la fameuse route 66, en arrivant à Beverly Hills, une vieille Mercedes avance lentement et ça sent la friture derrière le vieux break. So this is a particular route, Route 66, which goes towards this hill. And on that particular road, we see towards last few kilometers of this particular road, we see a old Mercedes walking slowly towards us, and it smells like la friture. La friture means to fry. So basically it smells like something is frying, maybe something is burned in the car. So it's a weird smell. L'impression, l'étrangeté de la scène ne réside pas dans ce qu'on l'envoie. So the strange impression of the scene does not reside in what we see. So basically the car looks maybe fine. It doesn't look like something has happened to the car visibly, but the smell and the impression, the strange impression is very weird. So let's look at the options. Les gros pneus sont tous lissés, which means that all the tires are flat. In this line, we are saying the strange impression does not reside with what we see. But if we could see that the tires are flat, then we would be able to figure out why this smell is coming from, right? But we can't. And that's what we are saying here, that the weird impression does not reside with what we see. So that means that the tires are not flat. We are not talking about tires anywhere here. C'est plutôt l'odeur écoeurante. This could be the close answer because we are talking about the smell here and now we are talking about the odor. We are saying that the odor is also kind of smoky. Écoeurante is smoky. And here also we are saying la friture is the fried smell. So fried smell and smoky smell are somewhat close. And we are basically also talking about smell here and odor here. So this seems to be the closest answer. Let's look at other examples also. Le véhicule fait un bruit assourdissant. A bruit assourdissant means a deafening noise.
But we are not talking about any noise here. We are only talking about smell. So this option is eliminated. La voiture dégage un gros nuage de fumée. There is no nuage, there is no cloud of fumes coming out of the car because we can't really see anything, because visibly we can't figure out what is the problem with the car. So this answer is also eliminated. So the only option that we are left with is option B. And we also feel that this is very close to sans la friture. So this should be the right answer. Let's move on. Voix, c'est plutôt l'odeur qui compte. Un autocollant plaqué sur la vitre arrière précise, je roule au biodiesel. An autocollant plaqué means a sticker is pasted at the back of the car which says that I run on biodiesel. A. Tout s'explique. On a du mal à y croire. Quel avenir pour le pétrole? Encore un militant pour le nucléaire. All right, I think in this one, elimination approach should work. We are not talking about any nuclear activist here, so this option D is eliminated. Quel avenir pour le pétrole? We are not talking about the future of petrol here, so this is also eliminated. On a du mal à y croire. All right, so let's go back to it. So at the back of the car, we can see that this car runs on biodiesel. And actually, we don't have any reason to not believe in it, right? So B option is also eliminated. And actually, A is the closest option, because we are basically saying that now that we know that this car runs on biodiesel, tout s'explique means, all right, now everything is clear to us. Now we know that where this weird fried like smoky smell is coming from. It's because the car runs on biodiesel. So answer should be A. Let's continue. Il n'y a plus qu'à remonter la filière. L'endroit fait commencer du filtre trafiqué apposé uniquement sur les voitures de la marque allemande. Alright, so as I said earlier, since we are saying l'endroit here and il n'y a plus qu'à remonter la filière, we're not talking about l'endroit. What place is this in this statement as well? So probably we should talk about the name of this place in option 38. But first try to understand the meaning of this sentence. L'endroit fait commerce du filtre trafiqué. This particular place trade traffic filters. Alright, so it's clear that we are talking about a repair shop of cars where the filters are replaced or changed or traded. So let's look at the options now. Rendezvous est prise au Love Craft Garage. Yes, this could be the answer because we are talking about the garage. On arrive ainsi d'ouvre à drôle du bar tabac. No, why would we talk about bar tabac here? Difficile, mais avec de la perseverance, on y arrive. It could be difficult, but with perseverance, we would get there. But where? We are not talking about any place in this sentence, so this is also eliminated. En route pour un garage réservé au modèle asiatique. No, in the next sentence, we are talking about the place which are basically for vehicles which have German brand. So fourth option is also eliminated. The only option that we are left with is Lovecraft Garage, and we also agree that we are talking about some repair shop, some kind of garage here in the next sentence. So answer should be option A. Let's continue. Il a du coin être échanté. Il vient de revendre sa petite entreprise à une maison plus importante. Unique activité faire carburer les Mercedes à l'essence végétale. Alright, so we have to fill in the blank for question 39, and after that we read that he has the reason to be ecstatic or happy. He has just sold his small enterprise, small company to a big one, and the unique activity of this small company is faire carburer les Mercedes à l'essence végétale, which means this company basically provides fuel, vegetable fuel for Mercedes. Alright, so il a du coin être échanté means we are talking about somebody here. We have to mention, in this particular statement, we have to have the noun which is being replaced with the pronoun il, and we are saying that he has a reason to be happy. So maybe here we'll talk about why this particular person or noun or maybe particular person is happy. Let's look at the examples. Le propriétaire. All right, so we are talking about the property owner. We are talking about the owner here of probably that particular garage. Le propriétaire serre les poings, se lave les mains, se frotte les mains, se ronge les ongles. Alright, so these are some expressions, and to guess the right answer, we should know what these expressions actually mean. So, serre les poings means when you create tension in your fist, or so maybe when you are nervous or you are angry. So, lave les mains, when you wash your hands, maybe after you are done with something, then you wash your hands. Maybe this is something, this trade was something that you were wanting, that you have been trying to do for a long time, and now that it is done, you are relieved. But in the next line, we can see that he has a reason to be happy. That means that sulav lema is not the right answer. So frotlema literally means to rub hands, but it also means to be happy or to be satisfied secretly. And in the next line, since we are saying that this person has a reason to be happy, this could be the answer. But let's look at the last one also. Sourange les ongles. Sourange les ongles means to bite nails. And we do that when we are nervous. So this person has no reason to be nervous. He is actually happy. And for that, the closest answer is option C, le propriétaire sous frotte les mains. Alright, so we have read that this person has sold his company, he is happy. This particular company provides vegetable oil for Mercedes. Les clients viennent d'abord parce qu'ils ne veulent plus perdre de l'argent en achetant de l'essence trop chère. So basically, the clients come because they don't want to spend too much money on the oil. They don't want to spend on very expensive oil. That's why they come, and this is something which is being quoted by an employee. Le garage livre environ 2 voitures par jour et vend sur Internet les kits d'installation de nouveaux filtres dans le monde entier. This particular garage delivers about 2 cars per day and sells, and on internet they also sell installation kit of the filters, of new filters globally. À Los Angeles, certains restaurants commencent d'ailleurs à donner gratuitement les huiles de friture usagées. Alright, and then in the last line we are saying in Los Angeles there are some restaurants which actually give their oil for free. So after they fry something in their restaurant, after they fry food in their restaurant, the used oil is being given for free by these restaurants. Malek asuki em thole frit. So before this line, before the fill in the blank, we read that this garage sells 2 cars per day, and on internet they also sell installation kits for new filters. Malek asuki em thole frit. I don't think this should be the answer because we are not talking about frit here, so this should be eliminated. Ça va faire le bonheur du petit commerce. Alright, so it would make them happy. It would make small companies happy. So if the garage is selling 2 cars and some installation kit for new filters, why would it make some small companies happy? We don't have anything related to this, so let's park it for now. Aux utilisateurs ensuite du symphonique en huile végétale. Okay, we are going to talk about huile végétale after that. Mais la question du prix pour les utilisateurs reste posée. Alright, this is the tricky one. I would say first and option A and B are eliminated for me. Option D, I'm not sure because we're not talking about price as such here. In the last option, in the last sentence, we are saying that they give oil for free, but that's used oil, used fried oil. So I would say answer is C, but this is a tricky one. Please let me know in the comment section below if you agree or if you have any other opinion on this. Alright, so in part 2 of section C, we have 4 sentences and we have to rearrange them in a meaningful way. So my approach is first read through all 4 sentences and try to understand their meaning. Then second strategy would be to pay close attention to nouns and pronouns. So for instance, if here we are saying Elle accept, that means before this statement, we should actually mention the name of the person that we are talking about here, which is Jennifer. So probably Jennifer, this option 3, this statement 3 should come before statement 2. And then the next strategy would be to pay attention to any connectors like per de temps après. So maybe this statement is something which would come towards the end. Maybe it would be third or fourth statement when we rearrange them. So let's solve a couple of them together. Un jour, suite à un petit accident dans la rue, elle rencontre un charmant jeune homme. A day after a small accident on the road, she met a charming young man. So who is she here? We can see the name of this person, Jennifer. So that means that this statement, Jennifer, this particular statement number 3 should come before one. So I would first read this one before reading second one. Jennifer est une jeune femme célibataire qui travaille comme organisatrice du mariage. So Jennifer is a young single woman who works as an organizer of marriages. So that means this statement 3 should come before 1. So maybe first statement 3 and then 1. Let's look at 2 now. Elle accepte de le revoir sans avoir qu'il est et tombe très amoureuse de lui. Now we are talking about il here. So who is he? We actually found out about this person in this particular statement. A charmant jeune homme. So we are talking about this young man here. So this statement means that she agreed to see him again without even knowing who is he and fell in love with him very quickly. So let's look at first 3 statements. Jennifer is a young woman who is single and works like organizer of marriages. One day after an accident on a road, she met a charming young man and she accepted to saw him again without even knowing who he is and fell in love with him very quickly. I think the rearrangement of first 3 statements that we have just done makes sense. So 3, 1 and 2. And now let's look at the last one. Peu de temps après, elle découvre que non seulement il n'est pas libre, mais elle doit organiser son mariage. After some time, she discovered that not only he is not single, but also she must organize his marriage. Yeah, so I think the arrangement of sentences makes complete sense. 3, 1, 2 and 4, which is option A. Now let's look at the second one. Soup minute. So maybe we're talking about some soup which is being cooked in minutes probably. Serve avec de la crème et des croûtons. In this statement, since we are talking about serving it, maybe probably serving the soup, this should come towards the end. That's clear. Let's move on to the next one. Mettez le contenu du sachet dans l'eau bouillante. So put the content of the sachet in a boiled water. Laissez mijoter 5 minutes à feu doux and let it mix for 5 minutes on the burner. Faites bouillir un litre d'eau dans une casserole. Alright, so here we are talking about boiling 1 liter of water in a casserole, and then in statement 2 we are saying to put the content in the boiled water. So this water was already boiled as per this statement, so probably this should be the first statement, that first we boil 1 liter of water, then we add 1 sachet content from a sachet to the boiled water, then we let it mix for 5 minutes on the burner, and then we serve it. So the sequence should be 4, 2, 3 and 1, which is option C. Yeah, so this is my approach to solve these questions. So once I'm sure about sequence of 2 statements, for instance, like here I was sure that 3 would come first and then 1. So I would also quickly look at the options and see if we actually have this order. So we can see that 3, 1 and 3, 1. So there are basically 2 options in which 1 is coming after 3. So the answer should be actually 1 among these 2. So that way we are also eliminating the options which are not correct while we are reading these statements in parallel. Yeah, so this is my approach, and there are a couple of more. You can solve them later. Let's look at the last part, which is section D. So in section D, you will read one very short sentence, and from the statement we have to select the answer which has the closest meaning to the main statement right here. Emmanuel prend des cours d'italien. So he is taking courses of Italian. Let's look at the option. Fece ascia on Italian. We are not talking about any ascia, any purchases in Italian, so that option is eliminated. A professor d'Italian. He is not professor of Italian because he is learning he is taking Italian courses. Alla nationalité Italian. I don't think that is true because if he was Italian, why would he take courses of Italian? And the last option is étude la langue italienne. Yeah, so this option is the closest. So when we are learning a language, we can say prends des cours d'italien or étude la langue italienne. Let's look at the second one. Suite à son accident, il ne peut plus travailler. After his accident, he cannot work. Grâce à son accident, il ne peut travailler. Thanks to his accident, he cannot work. No, absolutely wrong. This option is eliminated. À cause de son accident, il ne peut plus travailler. Yes, because of his accident, he cannot work. He cannot work anymore. Même s'il a eu un accident, il ne peut plus travailler. Even if he had an accident, he cannot work anymore. It doesn't make sense. Il a eu un accident pour contre il ne peut plus travailler. Il a eu un accident par contre il ne peut plus travailler. He had an accident. On the other hand, he cannot work. No, doesn't make sense. So the right answer is option B. Yeah, so yeah, this is how it is done. I would say these questions are relatively easier. You may actually come across a couple of them which are little bit tough, but otherwise this section is quite easy to handle. Now here is the answer sheet. You can solve this question paper later on. You can download it from the description box below. That's all I wanted to share on reading comprehension. I wish you all the best and I'll see you soon. Bye.